Check, 1, 2. Okay. Ow. Okay, hey everybody. Welcome to yet another director's commentary. And let's see, a couple other things I should make mention of. I did do a bit of an update video. You can see it on this YouTube channel just a little while ago, and explain a lot of the things, a lot of the initiatives that I have going, a lot of the irons in the fire, so to speak. Just know that if you're a big fan of Survivorman, these director's commentaries, and yes, even you Bigfoot enthusiasts, there's lots of different things that are brewing, happening, or going to happen. So you'll just stay tuned. There's more happening on that. And yes, some of you know that my Facebook page got hacked. So as of this recording, I still don't have access to it. So that's unfortunate. With 242K subscribers, I don't have access to the channel. A bunch of bogus clips are going on there. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out. But part of me is like, good, that's one less platform I have to worry about. So part of me is kind of happy, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Hopefully whoever's on the Facebook will come here to YouTube and hang out with us all so we can do these director's commentaries and so much more. But the big thing is, for me, is just letting you know again that this is a big year for me musically. If you're not into what I do musically, don't worry about it. Close your ears for a little bit. We're about to do the director's commentary, so hang on for a second there. But yeah, I am re-releasing the Mother Earth album, remixed, remastered. The vinyl album is, oh, I don't have one handy here. I should show it to you. The vinyl album is ready, so very soon you can go to my, find me on Spotify. You'll see there's an opportunity for pre-save for the first out of the starting gate, which is Arctic Mistress. And some of you have seen the Arctic Mistress video. Some of you have heard the song. You can hear the older version of it still right now on Spotify, but this is the new version, newly remixed, newly remastered, and the video. See, what I did was I pulled all the videos off of my YouTube channel ages ago because I just was concentrating on everything I was doing with Survivorman, and they've been off for a couple of years now. So now everything's coming back for me musically. I've got a new song coming out, well, starting with the re-release of Mother Earth. I have a new song releasing every 6 weeks. And each week in between will be a ton of videos supporting that music. So lots of new music coming out very soon. A new album probably called Mother Nature's Son, produced by Colin Linden out of Nashville. Amazing slide guitar player with guest appearance from Bruce Coburn on that album. And then a next album after that, produced yet again by legendary producer Mike Klink, possibly called Leaving It All Behind. We have the songs are done. We're just doing some overdubs for that. And then finally, I'll leave you with this. A couple of live gigs happening. Follow me on Bands in Town, and soon I'll have Bandcamp set up for me where you can get exclusive stuff. But you can follow me on Bands in Town for wherever I'm going to play live. And of course, all the usual platforms, iTunes and Apple Music and Spotify for my music. So I've got an April 6th in Whitby, Ontario, June 13th in Red Lily Vineyards in southern Jacksonville, Oregon area. So some great, that's it, because I'm so focused on the releases this year. And hopefully a very big announcement coming soon. 2 actually. One is an album I got the chance to play on of a huge rock star. We'll see. I can't say anything more than that. I can tell you I got to blow some pretty mean-ass blues harmonica for this album that's going to come out from this big rock star. We'll see. I can't say anything about it till it comes out. Number 2, though, and maybe more importantly, is the fact that I'm looking at a pretty big concert announcement. And until I've got everything secured, I won't make that announcement. But this will be a very special show with special guests. All right, that's enough of me blabbing on about my music. I wanted to get that out there. Let's get right into this. And let's pull up the old 20th anniversary package of all the films I did for 20 years, including the pilots of Survivorman and Beyond Survival and Bigfoot and Snowshoes and Solitude. They're all here in this wonderful package that you can get on my website. But right now, last time I saw you, we were finishing off season 5. And what episode was that? I think it was Tomogamy. And I was telling you the story of how that Tomogamy show was like a makeup show because how badly Argentina went. So now I have season 6, and this is the final season of Survivorman. Don't try, the way the season played out has just been changed so many times it almost doesn't matter. But for this 20th anniversary package that I put together for you with all my videos, this next show landed in what we called season 6, and it's the final season. After that, we will be digging into the behind-the-scenes director's commentaries for all of the Survivorman Bigfoot series. I've already did a few. There's some up there already, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to do all the ones that I have not done yet. So that's coming up next. But for now, we've got a handful of videos, a handful of Survivorman episodes from the last season, the final season, season X. I don't know where that came from. Season 6. And the one I'm going to do now is the one that caused some issues for some of you because of the way we ended it, which I will not talk about until we get to the ending. But for now, let's kick it off. This is the director's commentary for Survivorman India. Here we go.
Surviving all around the world, I've had to face a lot of different challenges. Physical basics are always the same: food, water, shelter, the ability to navigate, travel. Psychologically, of course, I've always had to deal with being alone.
By the way, when it comes to filmmaking, I love doing something like this. What the hell is he on? What's he riding? Is he in a Jeep? What's going on here? And it's so great to, I love doing reveals. I think reveals are a lot of fun, all kinds of reveals.
Sometimes food, water, and shelter are covered. There's other things I have to worry about. In the Amazon jungle, there's 100 different poisonous creepy crawlies. In Africa, lions, buffalo, hippos, and of course the black mamba. In the Arctic, polar bears. Here in India, there's leopards, snakes, believe it or not, honeybees.
So we'll stop that right there. The elephant. Whoa, what a story that was. Well, actually, the story was while we were in India. It was a crazy place to film. It ended up, how do I put this? Look, the reality is just difference in cultures and the difference in the way, you know, individuals might operate within the scope of their own culture. So we were now in India. We're operating like a bunch of North American documentary filmmakers, right? So I'm there with my crew that's going to shoot the intro. And as you know, they're going to go shoot beauty shots after this. But right now, we want to get this scene with that. Well, yeah, let's do the elephant thing. And I don't want to go down the political road of talking about the mistreatment of elephants and so on. I hear you, and I don't know that I would ever do this again. I don't think I'm pretty sure I wouldn't because, yeah, I stand against the mistreatment of animals for entertainment on all levels, including dolphins, orcas, seals. If you know, I expect someday I'll be picketing in front of SeaWorld because, yeah, no. And the same thing for, you know, the private circuses that exist in the private sanctuaries now they call them around America. I'm against all of those things. Not necessarily against large, well-done zoos. That's a conversation for another time. I know I'm opening up a can of worms here, but let's just say in any event, we ended up thinking, okay, I'll ride on an elephant. Somebody must have said, do you want to ride on an elephant? And I must have said, yeah, it sounds like fun. We'll do that as the intro. All right, so forgive me if you don't like it. I don't like it anymore either. How about that? So the thing is, again, back to the cultural difference. Oh my gosh. What it ended up being was, you know, the individuals we were working with, they were awesome, but they were so focused in on wanting to please me, wanting to say yes to everything, that they simply said yes to everything. There's no such thing as yes to everything. But what that would mean was that the next day, you know, something would be promised, it wouldn't be there. But they said yes because they just didn't want to say no. Oh my God, we came up, John, the field producer, came up with a saying for it. It was, everything is going to change every day. Something like that, because it was constant. You couldn't rely on anything. Like, you know, in North America, you crack the whip, you rely on stuff. Here's like, yes, we'll do that. Yes, we'll do that. Yes, we'll do that. And then we get there. Yeah, no, the elephant is coming from another location. Oh, when will it be here? In 2 days. You know, so it was just a nightmare getting this elephant to be there in the first place. So I think we had like a 2-hour window to get this intro, this opening. And of course, they couldn't just cut me loose on the elephant because I'm not experienced in riding an elephant and controlling it. So they had to have this dude in front of me. But here we go. Enough said. There we go. That's the story of the elephant.
And of course, the Royal Bengal tiger. Yet the thing I've been cautioned about the most were to watch out for the small herds of wild elephants. Just like the wandering spiritual nomads, they call them. Sadhu. I'm here to survive in northern India.
I'm in the foothills of the Himalayas, where spiritual wanderers known as sadhus spend their days either walking through or worshipping in the remote parts of this forest. Some take up residence in an ashram. No one knows their names or where they come from, and it's no secret that when one goes missing from, say, a tiger attack, no one really knows about it. For those with a greater sense of self-preservation, the ashrams provide safety with spike-covered doors and rooftops to protect against elephants and tigers. The beauty of the forest here is unquestionable, even though over 1 billion people live close by. And many
Oh, we should go back to that shot there. Let me go back to that shot, Luke. Show them again that waterfall shot. Okay, so check this out. So, if I remember correctly, this was the location where I had Ian Auger with me, and his whole job was just to operate the drones. That's right. I think this was the season we just took over drone operation. I was telling the story before about how I realized very early, like, how much does a drone cost, and how much do they cost to operate it? Forget that. Buy a drone. Let's get one of us going on it. And so I got Ian Auger on it, which turned out to be the sweet spot for working with Ian. He became brilliant at working the drone. But you know, within the budget of a show like this, it's a fairly large budget. Those drones, I believe, were about $800, and so within that budget, it made them kind of disposable. So I'd be like, I don't care if you ruin it, get the shot. And I think that shot was, I said, just get as close as you can to the waterfall, and if it crashes, it crashes. We had a second one, sort of thing, and we had a lot of fun with drones, and the flexibility financially to consider them disposable so we could get some crazy shots.
The drone was really effective for us because it wasn't used as a miniature helicopter that flies low. And that was the thing that I hated, that when everybody would do. They fly it up and they hover it, and it's like, oh look, it's a low flying helicopter. Well, it had to sort of be a character, so which was more like, it sort of was more your point of view as you travel through the wherever landscape you're on, and we used it that way, like the time lapse. The time lapse actually was to show the passage of time specific to the story, and the same with the drone shots. We only used them when we needed them to convey part of the story that had the same emotional quality and that drove the story forward. They weren't just randomly put in.
travel these forests to carry out any number of ceremonies of the Hindu religion. I'll walk in their footsteps, past the domain of the leopard, sloth bear, elephant, and of course the Royal Bengal tiger. I'm here to survive in the literal Jungle Book, India.
And another quick story. I've told this story before about how difficult it is for people to find out, for my field producers to find places for me to do survival. When Dan was doing it, John was doing it, they could never really quite find the right places. And case in point, they'd picked this waterfall area and said, oh, look at it. And it was really beautiful. And you saw some of the clips of it. Yeah, great. But there was also garbage everywhere because people go there on the weekends. What is the point of that? So when I had to determine where I was going to actually survive on some of these locations, it really took my eye to see the cinematic quality of that area and the survivability of that area. Could I actually survive here? And certainly the privacy. I can't be where people are showing up. More on that soon, actually. Look. Oh, yeah, there's Max Atwood's there. So we came to this location, and it was a lovely lady who was familiar with, I think we're in a park area, and she brought me to a spot, and she simply said, well, yes, and I probably will say it on camera here, that there is a tigress living here with, I think she said, well, she had cubs, tiger cubs. And then she said, well, she's killed, I believe it was 27 people that year. And she goes, but, you know, she's only eaten 12 of them. What? And this is the area they dropped me right into the center of where this tigress was existing.
And away they go. Elephant's gone, crew's gone. Now I'm alone. Let's get off the road for a while. Walk this riverbed.
The Indian jungle is not a jungle at all. It's a temperate forest. Jungle is actually a Hindi word meaning forest. One of the many, like pajamas, bandana, or shampoo, that we have usurped and thought to be English.
I'm in is in a forest in the foothills of the Himalayan mountains. It's a little different than North America. Here you get a lot of trails going through a lot of places that nomads, the sadhu, has walked and built. And so you've got tigers and leopards and elephants and everything else all around it, but these are small pathways through the forest, usually leading to and from temples, like this one here. This area is listed as the place that has the densest population of tigers. And there should be lots of elephants here too. So we'll see what happens. Because building a shelter on the ground is not an option. I brought with me a package for offering when I come to these temples. It's traditional and it's respectful. I brought a bag of...
That's one thing that happens really quickly, regardless of what your beliefs are or where you're at. Normally what you do is you see a lot of like sort of, hippie 20-year-olds are like, doing offerings and praying and this and that, but the reality is there is a level of respect to it. And when you go to a new country, or when I go to a new country, I have no problems out of respect, sharing in the spiritual, ceremonial activities that's going on. And when they say, like, I don't know, it's just all kind of good karma in a way, right? It's no different than, if you're not a Christian, but someone says, oh, can we pray before dinner? And you hold hands and someone prays before dinner, but you're not a Christian and you're at the table. Same thing. It's just like, well, you could interrupt the family dinner and go, yeah, I'm not doing that. You could be an ass, but I just find it deeper and lends to a more profound experience to just partake, to be part of the spirituality that is within the area where you are.
A bag of raisins for that very purpose. Believe it or not, I won't eat them.
Which is how I came to chew betel nut in Papua New Guinea and Sri Lanka. Wasn't so much spiritual, but definitely part of the culture.
And some herb. Apparently, favorite herb of Shiva.
So, some herb. I knew that if I said that and left it, everything would be fine. So now you're getting the full scoop on this, because to this day, no one knows what that is. And I certainly couldn't talk about what it was for real with Discovery Channel, or they never would have aired it. I know that. It was pot. Marijuana. Of course it was. I was in India. So, that was just part of the culture, part of what was going on there. And I wasn't actually, well, I don't smoke it, but for the show, for Survivorman, for being able to be aired on Discovery Channel, I just kept calling it some local natural herb.
Though I don't follow the Hindu religion, I have no issue with honoring the spirituality of a place, whatever that might involve, including my offering of gratitude to Shiva for my travels in this forest and to request safety.
Believe it or not, certain prey animals, like deer, learn to actually hang out closer to humans because in a way they know that by association it keeps predators away from them. Of course, the way I look at it, it's more like they're bringing predators closer to me. When you know there's tigers and, more importantly, elephants, which you really have to be wary of. It makes the sounds of all the falling leaves, which are falling constantly, puts you on high alert. At some point, I'll settle in and I'll relax to the sounds here, and I won't be so jumpy. At the moment, I'm a little jumpy.
Yeah, I mean, it really can't be overstated. The danger of the elephants in this area was huge. And the tiger that was living right there, or tiger, as if any others are coming around. In fact, on the way in, we actually had to stop at some point. I remember this on the road because there were elephants up ahead. There's nothing we could do. There's elephants up ahead. We just sat there and just waited. In fact, if I remember correctly, we backed up and backed out of the way, and I think we might have come back later. We might have come back the next day. My memory's fading on this one, but I remember that we were stopped because there were simply elephants up ahead, and they wouldn't even get close. I've been to places where, oh, let's go closer, you know. In Sri Lanka, we got much closer. In Africa, I've gotten close. But here, they wouldn't even dare to get close at all. These elephants are, in this area, are aggressive. People have said that in this particular show, I looked more nervous than I did in any other show. That's about right. The elephants were one thing. I guess I pacified myself thinking I can run away from an elephant. I'm sure I can find a way to run, you know, out dodge and duck and dodge an elephant. But tigers, yeah, this one had me nervous.
What I have to do is start paying attention to all of the telltale wildlife. If I hear a barking deer or a spotted deer do a distress call, or the monkeys take off and go up into the trees, these are all warnings that there's a tiger about, basically. Because the tiger's not going to make any sound at all until he's right there. Lots of tracks in the sand here. So a lot of it's just wild boar. It's an animal I don't particularly want to see out here either, is a wild boar. You see a bull with the tusks. And nasty, nasty creatures. There's a really big opening up here. That's where I'll head. The thing is, India is called a jungle, but it's really jungle in Hindi actually means forest. Land is more temperate than it is jungle, that's for sure. Look at this. Classic savanna area. Oh yeah. The monkeys jumping from tree to tree back there. That's fine. All right. I got home for tonight.
Now, this was another one of those situations, kind of like in Norway, where the lady did tell me that I might come across ranger towers or the odd little shack or hut out there somewhere, and certainly I could make use of them if I did. So, and to this day, I still love incorporating something like that into a Survivorman episode, into a survival adventure, because that is the reality. And that's why I showed how, you know, in Norway you could break in. I think actually I broke into 2 cabins in Norway. There was a survival, specifically a survival hut in Labrador. Obviously, it's easier on me to have to survive in a place like that, but it still fits the story. It's not always about an A-frame shelter. It's not always about a shelter you're going to build. When it's already there, like a cave, like the caves in Mexico. Love being able to show that, because that is a true part of actual survival.
Ranger house. All right, this will work.
If I remember correctly too, she actually said if I do find any of the ranger houses, to take advantage of them, because they would offer a little bit more safety. Not total, because there's no doors, but a little bit more safety from tigers and elephants.
That's solid. That's a rat crap. The Sadhus would actually use a place like this, unless they were purposely wanting to go without and abstaining. They would use a place like this to stay in on their journeys. Not too many people just stay out on the ground. Not with tigers about, especially man-eaters. There was one shot just like a mile and a half from here, just 2 weeks ago. It was a man-eater, big Bengal tiger. So tonight, this is gonna feel pretty secure, being right here.
This area is the home territory of a tigress with cubs, and this year alone she's already killed 21 people. She's eaten the last 6 kills, and I'm right in her front yard.
So there's the numbers. 21 kills and 6 that she's eaten of those 21. Yeah. Now, you wonder why I was nervous?
This is an abandoned ranger house, at one time clean, habitable, but now left to the monkeys, rats, spiders, and bats.
Interesting listening to my narration here. Over the years, I've told this story before about how I altered my narration sound, the sound of my voice, depending on, how I was feeling about things. I mean, in the beginning, I was still quite inexperienced. So I was learning how to do things. And then I wanted a bit of a raspy voice. There were times when I would scream into a pillow in the studio to blow out my vocal cords, so that when I would give my narration, it would be kind of like this. But this time around, I think I said, let's pull back on that now. Let's just be nice and sort of calm in my narration. At least I think I remember going down that road, and it certainly sounds like it.
I'm putting my fire right in front of the only door in an effort to ward off tigers from coming inside after me.
It's not a bad idea, actually, doing that. Yeah, protecting if there's only one way in, good to have a fire there if you want to keep leopards and tigers out.
There's no door, and nothing to stop the curiosity of a big cat.
This is the witching hour. This is when things come out. I've already seen massive, I think it's called a samba deer. Huge, it's like an elk. He saw me and took off. And those are peacocks, lots of them. Spotted deer over there, lots of different monkeys. So the elephants, the tigers, the leopards, they're all up and at it too. They're all walking around. And this is the action zone. I go out to get firewood and I'm watching I keep thinking that this edge of the forest here is just, there's a tiger laying in wait. And I've got to start functioning without that fear running through me the whole time. As long as fear is motivating me, I'm done. It's not going to work. I will cinch up and I will not do what I need to do to affect survival. So I got to get past that fear. Hopefully tonight we'll do that.
That's huge. The fear factor can really bring you down, hold you back. And I was quite nervous in this situation. I think, often I'll say, if I go out to a new area, a place like the wilderness, I can walk through the wilderness, pitch black, no flashlight, no fear. But when I first go out, say even on a camping trip, to be honest about it, it really usually takes me about 3 nights. By the 3rd night is when that kicks in. The first 2 nights, I'm still spooked. Even to this day, I don't know these sounds where I am right now. I don't know what's here, and I can guess depending on where I am. But there's always cougar or wolves or black bear, or grizzly bear. There's always something, wherever I might be in North America. But by about the 3rd night, it's nothing. 3rd night, I'll just walk out in the pitch black and walk through the woods, and nothing phases me. So there is definitely familiarity. You become more comfortable the longer you're out there. And a quick little trick, and this is a good one for if you have kids, by the way, and I've taught this before. It's this: that if you're nervous, if you're really nervous in a spot, in a location, you're in the middle of the wilderness, at dusk, at the end of the day, look around, memorize everything where you are. There's a rock there, the lake is here, there's a big pine tree there. And then when it's dark, pitch black, maybe you're by a little fire, remind yourself, it's exactly the same. Nothing's moved. There's no big creature behind the rock or behind the pine tree. There's no monster coming up from the waters, nothing like that. It's just the rock, the pine tree, and the lake. That's it, exactly the same. That little mental trick when you're out in the wilderness and you're coming into night and you're nervous, try that. It can help a lot.
There's something very large walking across there. That doesn't look like it's walking like a deer either. I know I sound paranoid, but man, it's walking like a cat.
I can't get the camera to focus on the creature quick enough as it slinks past a herd of deer, and disappears into the forest's edge, closer to me. It's far too large to be a leopard, and didn't move like anything other than a big cat.
Wish I could have got a look at what was walking across the field there. It wasn't moving like a deer. It was lower to the ground, had a nice smooth movement to it. It could be my imagination, but it easily could have been a cat. It's just dark enough that it's like, you squint your eyes and you try. Is that what I'm seeing?
The sounds from peacocks and other birds and monkeys are enough of a cacophony to mask the sounds of the real dangers. Elephants and tigers.
You know, even watching this now with you guys, my body, I can feel the nervousness of how I was then. I'm remembering, I haven't seen this show in years, and I'm remembering that feeling, you know. And I do remember the moment of seeing what I was pretty sure was a tiger slinking across the field. Well, why didn't the deer take off? Because it wasn't in attack mode. You know, you'll see that all the time, right? You've seen lions hanging out right beside zebras and gazelles and so on, nothing going on because they're not in attack mode. And I saw that thing go across the field, and yeah, I'm glad I should, because you know when you're not sure, that's what you do, right? You rub your eyes, you squint. You know, is that a bear? You know, in this case, is that a tiger? And I can feel, it's palpable, how nervous I was.
I felt nervous. I feel it's not usual for me. Not in the wilderness. I'm always comfortable.
And you know, that in itself is a warning to me. The fact that I feel nervous, because normally, as I already mentioned, normally I, you know, especially by the third night, I'm rocking. I feel so comfortable in the middle of the wilderness. But that, it's like those were my instincts kicking off, is what I think.
Too many warnings. Too many days filled with warnings from people before I got out here. Got to get my head around what I have to do to survive here. You hear that? That right there. That's a deer. When they do that, they're usually warning that there's a tiger. That's what that is. That's a warning that there's a tiger.
I don't think I slept that night. Maybe I'll talk about it after, but I'm pretty sure I just didn't sleep. And again, you know, I mentioned this before too, that gets into just the killer zone of not getting any sleep. Everything gets worse. You have to find a way to sleep in a survival situation, or all of your troubles are compounded.
So I've still got to get my head around just knowing the lay of the land and knowing what I need to do to affect survival. First thing I need to do is go through my zones of assessment. What's on my body? What do I have? What's close at hand? For starters, neck knife. I haven't used a neck knife in a long time. This is the Heli Algonquin. Nice, sturdy knife. But I've also done this thing where I've got some things from me and then some things from locals. So I was given this sickle. It's like a thick machete.
I still have that, by the way. It's part of my little miniature museum at my house.
I've also actually got this little survival pack here. Rope, there's survival supplies inside, compass, in addition.
And that was one of those situations where, you know, people would send me, you know, the bracelets and all that stuff. I will say to you that in the end, I'm not really a fan of any of those. There's such a pain in the ass to undo, and most of the stuff, a lot of times it's inside them, gets, you know, if it gets wet and it gets ruined. I prefer just a proper survival kit to all of those little rope braided kits that are made by so many people, and I'm grateful to those people who sent them in to me to try them out, but I'm not a fan. I prefer a real kit.
The locals gave me some fine herbs, can make tea out of it, and they gave me this pot. What else have I got here? On the modern side for fire starting, I'm gonna try this fire gel. Never used it before. I know the military uses them. I wanted to try it out. To go with it, I've got this cheap little lighter. There's hardly any liquid in it, if any at all. It seems like it's on fumes. And the other thing they gave me was this mask. Believe it or not, it has a purpose, a very important one. You wear it backwards, you walk through the forest. If there is a leopard or a tiger, and they think they're going to get a pounce on you and stalk you, they see eyes, nose, mouth facing them. And obviously the thought is that it'll stop them from pouncing. I'm going to have to wear this thing all week long. So many sounds in the forest, big sounds too. You know, I'm so used to being in places with wolf.
Ooh, you could hear that forest sound. See what happens here. I think I get up, but I just want to talk a bit more about the mask first. You know, I bumped into a cougar mountain lion here in Oregon, just up 100 yards from the house. And I was jogging and probably sounded like a wounded deer. And this thing was pacing me, and I thought, oh, it must be a deer, you know, because I always scare deer away and even elk when I go jogging up the hill. Well, but this thing was pacing me, as I said. So all of a sudden, wait a minute, why is it following me? And at some point I stopped, I turned around, and it was a beautiful mountain lion 15 feet away from me, looking at me, one paw outstretched, one paw up, just looking straight at me. Gorgeous. But as soon as we locked eyes, I knew I had the advantage because it wanted to pounce on me from behind. It did not want to see my face. So after a moment of taking that in, and I went, ah, it took off. But that's the point of the mask. So it's not a bad little deterrent when you think about it. It can work.
See, that's it's got to be elephants.
Here in India, I've found for myself a decent amount of safety in an abandoned ranger house, but I'm hearing noises in the forest behind that have me on edge.
I just came up into the tower to see if I can see down to the river, and I can't. But I can hear a lot of grunting and snorting. I don't think it's elephants. I think it's wild boars, actually. Yeah. That's what it sounds like. Okay. I don't really want to push my luck and go there to see. Well, I don't know what it is. But,
I know that the sound of the peacocks is kind of fun and nice and everything, but not when you're there. It lent to, first of all, they were new to me, being around peacocks, and you know, no big deal, of course, just peacocks. But just them talking out there like that, all the way on the other side of the field area there, it just lent a, I don't want to say creepy, but it was just, it was also unfamiliar to me. That it kept me on edge. That's what it did.
will remain a mystery. I'm saying probably hogs and elephants. The good news is, while I came back here, I found this. And these are curry pata. And I can eat them. That's great. Right away, I've got a salad green. Huh. Well, I'm not going farther back because any further I go in now means I don't really have an escape route. This is what I mean by, I don't have my sea legs here. And usually I do. I don't have a lot of my old, normal wilderness survival senses. I have them to rely upon, but they're not really, they're serving me here as well because there's so much about this place I don't really quite know. I mean, the dangers could be played up way too much, or they can just be stated for what they are. 20-foot king cobras, wild boars, elephants that'll trample you to death, leopards, and of course, you have a present tiger. Can't relax here. Too much going on. Well, I'm gonna go walk that riverbed, see what's making all the noise back there. I think it's probably gone, but I'll watch for tracks and signs. I'm pretty sure it was a couple elephants going through. I hope they're not just resting. And I hope there's no hogs. All right.
Now, actually, that kind of reconnaissance mission is important. The one that tells you what's going on over there. What is that sound around the corner there? That's That's vital, because otherwise you're living in fear the whole time. Like, what was that? What was that? What was that? And you don't want to be doing that. There's no way you can survive in a situation like that. So you often, you know, you don't want to get yourself in trouble, but you do often want to explore to try and see what's going on over there.
I'm torn between making lots of sound or just coming in quietly. I think no matter what, I'm going to be making lots of sound because the leaves are just walking on cornflakes. This is where all the action was. Now here's a trick that villagers will use if they're going in to gather supplies. They'll cough on their way into a jungle. Simple as that. Lets everything know they're coming, and hopefully everything leaves. Yeah, that would scare me away.
In North America, we arm ourselves with bear spray, firecrackers, shotguns, or rifles. But here in India, they rely on the sound of a cough to ward off curious predators.
I actually think I'm on a bit of a trail now.
Nervous or not, I need to explore my area to see what's available to me for survival.
That's something I didn't mention I should bring in right now. So part of the process of, or part of the permission I was given to be able to be in this area to do this survival was, well, we want to have, you know, someone there protecting you from tigers. And so they had a couple of guys with rifles and everything. Never saw them. Something's coming up later that I'll tell you about, but so far anyway, at this point, never even knew where they were. I'm pretty sure they were pretty far from me because I had, you know, good vision in a lot of directions. And I'm like, for the first while, I was like, I don't even know if they're out there. I haven't got a clue. But in any event, a lot of times I thought to myself, if I got attacked by a tiger right now, nothing's protecting me. They're not going to run from 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers away to protect me from getting killed if a tiger attacks me right now. So I have no idea where they were. They were supposed to be out there. They were supposed to be shadowing me, supposed to be watching me. This happened also in the Arctic. Similar situation there, but they had a much bigger vantage point there. So Sam Umek would be up on the glacier, just sort of watching me through his rifle, and mostly watching for polar bears coming in. Here it was supposed to be watching for tigers, but never saw these guys, didn't know where they were, and I'm quite certain they weren't very close to me. So I have no idea how much help they would have been.
Well, there's home. Lucky to have it, I'll tell you.
Huh, and there's some food. Huh, that's gotta be worldwide, I guess. It's yellow wood sorrel. Mm-hmm. Indeed it is. It's delicious. And there's lots of it. Oh, that's really good. Yellow wood sorrel, delicious.
You could certainly see why I ended up producing Wild Harvest. And if you guys have not seen Wild Harvest yet, that's my new series. We're into our 3rd season now. In the United States, it's on PBS stations, and around the world, it's showing up on lots of different networks now in distribution. So try to check out Wild Harvest. I love making that series, and I hope to do it for many years to come. Okay, you know what, Luke, go ahead, show them the premiere for Wild Harvest. Pretty cool, eh? Yeah, I'm very excited about getting season 3 out there for you. All brand new episodes coming up. Looks like the first airing is going to be now. I think it's going to be June 1st. So I was hoping for May 1st, but I think it's going to be June 1st. So watch for that. Let's keep watching India in the meantime, though.
While I'm here, I think I see what I can use to turn into a spear.
It's likely that during the heat of the day, tigers and leopards are sleeping, waiting for the cool of dusk to come out on their hunts. Just the same, in an area where I'm not the most lethal predator, I prefer to have at least some sort of protection.
To be honest, it's really just largely symbolic. I mean, this is my defense against a 500-pound tiger. This is the area that I don't like. So you see all this greenery here? I call it tiger shade, because they do love to just lay in there and cool off from the heat of the day, but you know, if you walk right past them, they would be happy to wake up quickly. Here's the water hole. And the cat that I saw walk across here last night, be it leopard or tiger, was in between me and the hut, so nice to find his tracks. Just like in any forest, a water hole is a gathering place for wildlife. It's where they all come. It's also a great place, though, to find wild edibles. Doesn't look like I want to drink this, though. It's pretty sludgy.
Plenty of sheep and goat herders have walked this area, along with the wandering sadhus. And after 1,000 years of forest traveling, their evidence is everywhere.
Huh. Look at that. I know what that is. Okay, this is actually, it's a fire carrier. That's what it is. It's dung that's been dried and squished together, and put the coal in there.
Now, why would that be needed in a place like this? Because a lot of people, like the wanderers, the sadhus and so on, they don't bother with lighters and matches. You know, they've got their traditional ways of making fire, and, you know, they're not about having, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Materialistic. They're not materialistic, so they're not having lots of items and things like that. So it makes sense. So that this is a fire carrier, so that without matches, without a lighter, they can simply carry the fire to the next location using this dung.
You can see there's other sort of nomads that have been here. You see this? This is that's a big torch. I'm not going to take that torch on them. Whoever it is, they might be planning on coming back for it. Oh, first of all, let's get a drink of water. Now, I didn't want to really trust coming out here and ingesting water and getting too sick, so in this case, I did actually bring along a little filter, so life straw, and it's going to be a lifesaver in a situation like this.
Now, full disclosure, yes, the company sent me a bunch and they were hoping that I would use them. In fact, at one point we were talking about doing sort of a deal together, but then they were starting to become so popular, they was like, oh, I think they thought, oh, we don't need him anymore. Let's just do our thing. And they're kind of everywhere. I mean, they do a good job. Do they do the best job? No. There are filters, more powerful filters for the best job. But in a pinch, they do a pretty good job.
Oh, that's good. Now here's one of those moments where it's just, I just got to shake my head. I just took the time, I built a spear, and at some point I think I stopped to eat some wood sorrel, put the spear down, didn't pick back up again. Now I have no spear.
That's also part and parcel with not having a lot of food in my system, and that's what happens. You become forgetful. You know, when you're running on empty, when it comes to your blood sugar, that's the thing. You put your knife down, you put your machete down, you put your backpack down, and you walk away from it. It's crazy how easily that happens. And in that situation, I can hear it from the, you know, exasperation in my voice. It's like, well, how could I have not brought the spear? But I put it down beside myself somewhere, got up, kept walking, and forgot about it entirely.
The many years of survival, my body has become used to feast and famine. So a couple of days without food doesn't bother me physically, but losing or leaving my personal items behind does seem to always be a result of a lack of nutrition while in the wild.
See, that guy knows what he's
talking about. It can be hard to concentrate without food in your stomach.
Classic. I don't know what they call it here, but I call it bulrush.
So bulrush, cattail, it's ubiquitous around the world. It's still nature's supermarket. If you want to get into learning wild edible plants, learn the cattail first. It's really one of the greatest entries into the world of foraging.
It's delicious.
Everything here should be considered in how it can help me survive.
So, If I kind of recap, it was walking through my various zones of assessment. Zone of assessment number 1 is my body, what I have on it. Zone of assessment number 2 is what's sort of close at hand. And in this case, it meant this ranger tower that I'm able to take advantage of. It's a ready-made shelter. That's all it is, really, is a ready-made shelter. It doesn't feed me, it doesn't put water in me. Zone of assessment number 3 is going much further afield, which is what I've accomplished now. Basically, starting at the ranger tower, I've gone up into the bush and hiked all the way around to see what I've got available to me, and there wasn't much, really. As a recap, I've got wood sorrel, curry pata, and the bulrush, and drinkable water. That'll only sustain me for so long.
I'm in the jungles of India, in the heartland of an extremely dangerous female tiger known to have killed 21 people this year alone. So it behooves me to carry with me all the protection I can from both the tiger and the wandering packs of elephants, which are, in the eyes of the locals, far more dangerous. Carrying my fire with me serves 2 purposes. 1 is that I don't have to try to start a new one if it came on to rain, and 2 is that the smoke helps to ward off predators or ornery elephants, and it's the elephant dung itself that I can use to carry the fire.
There we go. That's about all I really need to do. That paste is going to burn. That's where I can use the pot. That should smolder nicely for actually quite a few hours. Believe it or not, I've used elephant dung before, and it works like a charm for this. Can't get any water out of it for drinking, but you can sure use it for fire tinder.
Yeah, I was back in the era when it was still good to just trash another, wannabe survival guy who got himself a show and proceeded to tell you all that you could squeeze water out of elephant dung and drink it, which you cannot.
Perfect.
I've decided to leave behind the ranger house so I can explore survival possibilities in the forest.
Okay, before I do that, though, I got to tell you of a story. This was hilarious. Now, sometimes you guys have asked me, have you ever come across anybody when you're out there, sort of thing? And as I said, there's been a couple of occasions. I talked about it in Labrador, in Arizona in season 1, Lone Hunter, and I'm not sure there might have been 1 or 2 other times, but in this situation, it was the most bizarre. So I was there the night before this. I wasn't sure if I had another night in the shelter. That's why I was waiting to tell you. But the night before this then, I'm in the shelter, and I'm not sleeping well. And you remember where I stopped by the small temple, very old temple, and made my offerings and that? Okay. So I figured that's where it was, which is about probably maybe about less than a mile away, sort of thing, but close to a mile, somewhere in there, maybe 3/4 of a mile away. And I'm there at night, and I thought I heard something, and then I hear it was a rave. There was a massive rave party going on back at that sacred ceremonial area. It was just, it was huge. It sounded like that. I don't know how many people were there. Like I went out and I didn't want to walk too far because now it's at night and the tigers are out and I'm not going to walk across this field and try to get, I'm not going to walk a mile in the woods in dark in India in tiger territory with no flashlight, no gun. And I could just hear this massive rave going. It was echoing across that whole area that we're looking at right now. Just some massive downtown rave party. And so I guess a whole bunch of young people had pulled up and that's where they were going to do it. And they cranked all their boom boxes in the backs of their cars and so on. And it was kind of hilarious, but also it was kind of surreal because there I was by myself alone in the middle of India, in the middle of tiger territory and elephant territory, no food in my stomach, surviving, worried about tigers. And there's a rave less than a mile away, cranking out the tunes with maybe 100 people. I don't know how many were there. I haven't got a clue. Could have been 10, could have been 500. I'm not sure, but it sounded big. And it wasn't comforting. It actually made me, it was surreal. It was just very surreal. And as I said, I didn't have the nerve to, to go to them across the dark in the field at night in tiger territory. So, and besides, I didn't have a good feeling about it. I didn't even feel like, oh, I want to go meet these people and, there's a bit of safety here, safety in numbers sort of thing. I didn't even really want to do that. There was something about it that was odd and off, and my instinct said, stay put, don't move. But I'm telling you guys, that was crazy, man. Surreal is the best word for it.
But also, hopefully find a better source of drinking.
So there you go. So there's an aerial of where I was. So I was, well, you can't see where I was, but to the right, go about a mile or so, and you can see all the forest, the jungle around us here, around me, is where the rave was. Just crazy. Hey everyone, allow me to interrupt myself. I don't really like hawking merchandise and swag, but you guys do ask all the time where you can get certain items. For example, check this out, Hennessy hammock. I put a lot of time and effort into designing this hammock with Hennessy. It's their top hammock. It's an amazing, beautiful, comfortable hammock to enjoy for all of your adventures out there, so just check it out. It's got a full-size tarp, which is a big thing for me. It's got insulation, and I love it. So I've got the Hennessy hammocks. Of course, for years I've been in a phenomenal relationship with Hella of Norway, Hella Knives. And this is our signature knife, of course, the Tamagami. These knives are handmade. In fact, I've been there to this very ancient factory where I don't know how many, it's well over 100 years that they've been operating, and every single handle is handmade. All of the grinding, everything is done by hand. And these knives are absolutely beautiful. I also now have a brand new relationship, and you will see these items, new foraging tools that I'm designing with LT Wright Knives out of Ohio. And also, Chef Paul Rogalski of Wild Harvest has the signature Chef Paul Rogalski kitchen knife collection. Those are a big thrill to me, to have these beautiful items that we spent years designing, and I still have them available for you. However, if you want to go more the route of just enjoying the Survivorman legacy, if you will, then of course, go to my website, lestroud.ca, go to the shop page. Right there, you've got everything. All the swag, all the merch, such as my manual on survival. This is if you want to get into survival. This book is meant to be a way to walk you through step by step, because I deal a lot more with concepts than I do with specifics, because that's really important. Once you understand the concepts of fire by friction, for example, you can do it depending on where you are, because I can't give you the advice on how to do it here in Canada and hope that it's also going to work down in the jungle. Things are different. So I've always been very proud of this book, Survive. So that is my survival manual. Also, if you weren't aware, I've got the book Will to Live. I wrote this book it's kind of for a lot of fun. I took my 10 favorite survival stories, such as Chris McCandless Into the Wild or the Robertson family and the life raft, and I basically dissect them with this book. I tear apart the story, I go through everything, and I even give them a little bit of a grade on how I thought they did. So I really enjoyed writing this book. It's a real easy read, it's a fast read, but I think there's a lot of insight there for you into all of these different examples of people who have either survived or perished. Speaking of books, so honored, so thrilled, so proud that Wild Outside, my first children's book, has won the Yellow Cedar Award, Best Nonfiction Children's Book in Canada for ages 7 to 14. I tell stories from Survivorman, lessons learned during those expeditions and adventures, and there are even activities they can do in the out of doors. So there you go. My new book, my children's book, Wild Outside, Around the World with Survivorman, has just won the Yellow Cedar Award, and I'm up for another award yet. And in keeping with stuff that's going on right now, we are also up for an award for our Season 1 recipe book from the series Wild Harvest. And if you've never caught the series Wild Harvest, check this out.
Woohoo! Beautiful little rainbow. Dinner.
This perhaps is the most incredible kitchen scenario I've ever had.
When you start getting involved in local foraging and bringing the ingredients home and playing with them in the kitchen, can you create a dish where the domestic ingredients don't overshadow the wild ingredients?
Hey there. Oh, go on.
Now the job's getting fun.
This dish is a showcase of how great these foraged ingredients come together.
It's the best when it's its own flavor. When you're making something with a wild edible, you're nailing it and not losing the wild flavor.
Sometimes it is about the ingredients.
Tell me that doesn't look awesome. 2 seasons right now, 26 episodes. In the United States, it's on PBS stations. You can also get it on this YouTube channel. In Canada, Cottage Life TV. In Sweden and Norway, on Matt Cannellan. It's on National Geographic. Asia, which includes China and India. So my Wild Harvest series is playing around the world now, and we, with every single season, create a recipe book based on the recipes that we show you in the actual shows themselves. So that's Wild Harvest. And of course, if you want the DVD, you can get that on this website as well, lesstroud.ca. And let's not forget too, that I'm a musician. The CDs themselves are available on the website. The next release will be the re-release of the Mother Earth album on vinyl. But go on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music, or on my website. You can go to the shop page, you can pick up all of my CDs. So this is the last one. This is my 20th anniversary selection. Check it out. Every film I've ever made, 76 films in all of the Survivorman, Bigfoot, Beyond Survival, music documentaries, one-off films such as the award-winning La Loche about the school shooting up in Canada and a healing canoe trip. This is my 20th anniversary. 76 films. And people that have picked this up have raved about it. And I'm really proud that I can say I've got 20 years of anything, to be honest with you. That's available for you as well on that Les Stroud shop page. Okay, that's me hawking my stuff. Back to the video.
This traveling survival will make me more vulnerable to tiger attack or elephant encounter.
I've got the elephant dung still smoldering in the kettle behind my back. It's just hanging on the outside. I mean, hopefully it won't get too hot and burn the pack, but so far so good. It seems to be working.
You know, and traveling like this in India reminded me of when I was traveling in Africa. I can do this in North America anywhere except for polar bear territory, another similar feeling, where you know out there is something that not only can kill you, but actually might want to. And I call them apex predators. And so in that list, I would include polar bears, some sharks, not grizzly bears, not black bears, not cougars. Those ones I'll consider accidental predators. Apex predator, lions, certainly tigers, saltwater crocodiles in Australia. These are apex predators. If they see a human, they have the opportunity, they'll eat a human. That's why I call them apex predators. And walking in territory where they exist is a very nervy feeling, like you're, you know, it's like you just want, I could do it in like Ontario blindfolded. I've got no worry if I'm in you know, eastern cougar and black bear territory or here in Oregon, you know. But, oh, one of my cameras just shut off. But there, walking through tiger territory, it's a whole other feeling when you walk in an area where there is something that not only can kill you, may want to kill you.
Huh. Oh, there's elephant tracks too. That's a big elephant track. There we go. That is classic. Got a big elephant track with a tiger track in the middle of it. You don't see that very often. There's the elephant track, and there's the tiger track right there.
And that's a big tiger track. When I'm in these situations and when I'm nervous like that, I find too that I start to breathe through my mouth a lot if I'm nervous in a situation like this. And let me remind you, I do not have any firearms on me. Not even bear spray, nothing.
That's incredible.
Oh, that's right. I have a carnival mask.
But that sure speaks to the dangers here.
There've been so many.
The other thing that I was worried about in this particular traveling thing is I wasn't really sure where I was going. You know, I'd scouted the area before and I knew some roads and different pathways and stuff, but this is a river washout and which that you can drive on, but it's a river washout. And I really wasn't sure where I was going.
Many locations I've been on with some strong inherent dangers, and most of the time I just got to deal with them. You know, grizzlies, mountain lions, black bears, that sort of thing. And here I'm being shadowed by a couple of men with guns for tigers, and I can't see them. You know, every once in a while I might catch a glimpse. Ah, he's way over there. They would not allow me to be in this area without an armed guard. So I'm out here.
And in fact, I think if you go back to the beginning, there is one shot where looking ahead, and I said I didn't see him, I forgot. There was a time I think I got a glimpse of one of them, and he sort of quickly ran away, which was weird. You know, way up ahead of me, sort of thing. And I think if you go back, there's a clip where I thought I saw one. Sort of my GoPro would have caught him, you know?
Surviving, and there's a couple of armed guards that are shadowing me like little ninja warriors. I think here's what I might call home for the night. I think elephant dung is my favorite fire carrier. It's worked like a charm. You know, just smoldering in there. It doesn't flame up and burn out on me while I'm on the trail. And the advantage of using the elephant dung is, according to the lore here, a fire with elephant dung in it keeps elephants away. So if that's the case, I'm down with that. So now for some dry firewood. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, actually.
One of my priorities for camp location is based on how much dry firewood is available. Struggling to find sticks to burn is a huge disadvantage in the middle of a dark night.
And that's something that, you know, if I'm going to nerd out at all, you know, go hiking with friends, sometimes I'll stop and go, okay, if you had to survive tonight, where would you be, and where would you put your shelter, sort of thing. And I always say, you know, one of the biggest, if you're thinking about where you're going to put your shelter, for me, huge advantage. How close are you to lots of firewood? It's the shelter materials and the firewood. And if you can get both of those in the same location, it's a golden location. I'd rather be there than in some spot that has maybe a rock, a nice big rock, but no materials to build my shelter with and no firewood for my fire. I'd rather be where the materials are. Think about that when you're placing your survival location. Be where the materials are as best as you can. It makes a huge difference.
One habit that I employ always in a survival situation is I do not get the fire going too soon, because getting firewood at night is always a major chore.
Actually, that's a really good point. Don't get your fire going too soon. Wait on it so that you're not using up all of your raw material.
Since there's some elephant dung just over here, I'm going to take advantage of it, bring it over by the fire, keep it smoldering, since it's said to keep them away. That'll work for me. This'll do, I hope. Guess if I'm going to make anything to drink out of this kettle, I should rinse it out after having burning elephant dung inside it. Let's see if I can fire this into flame now. Well, that was fast. Fast and easy. All right, time to make some of that herb tea they gave me. They tell me this tea leaf should calm me down.
Well, and there's a reason for that. Now, my understanding is you don't actually release THC out of cannabis by when you use boiling water and make tea out of it. That said, I got pretty relaxed and mellow this night.
Oh, that's good. Actually makes a big difference. That's really nice.
Anything I can do to have a sense of familiarity, like drinking a hot cup of tea, can serve to calm me down in an anxious situation.
I don't like that. I just heard a barking deer off in the distance over that way. And he's not barking because of me. Their warning calls are very clear signs. There it is again. So wait it out and see.
barking deer only bark for one reason: tigers. And they let every creature in the area know that a tiger's on the prowl. By every creature, I mean me.
So, there's definitely a tiger prowling around there. The warning signs are there. I'm just gonna stay close to this fire all night. Hope it does the trick.
And I should, here's a full disclosure moment for you there. The two ninja guards, as I called them, they actually came in. They saw that, and I hadn't seen them up to this point, like hadn't physically, other than maybe a quick glimpse of them earlier on, hadn't seen them. But this night, they came up to me and they said, and they didn't speak hardly any English at all, but basically they got out that, well, there's a tiger in the area. And then they left again. And I didn't see him again after that. It's like, seriously? They certainly, as I say, they weren't ever going to be close enough that if a tiger jumped me, that they were going to do much more than scare him off after I was probably already dead and half-eaten.
I'm in the foothills of the Himalayan mountains in northern India, in a region known for being the home of one of the densest populations of tigers on the planet, many of which are man-eaters.
There are so many places on this planet, you know, where you can come and just sleep out under the stars and pitch a tent. Yet there are a handful of areas where you just can't do it. You've got to have some sort of armed protection. Africa, of course, with the lions, the Arctic with polar bears, and here with the tigers. So it's a delicate balance between all of the humans that walk through here and the tigers. And unfortunately for the humans, every now and then, in fact, every so often, the balance shifts in the favor of the tiger.
There's the area where they actually had hoped I would survive, but no, people come to this waterfall, so there was no point. What was I going to tell you? I forgot. Keep watching.
Hundreds of people are eaten every year, and yet the greatest warning I was given was with regards to elephants. It's elephants that have been known to pull people off of sleeping platforms by their legs, only to toss them mangled into the Indian jungle.
There's nothing like sitting up all night by a fire worried about tigers to get you to put your life in perspective. That's for sure. I'm just finding my way through the jungle. Like I say, there's a lot of trails. It makes things a lot easier, that's for sure. I don't know what kind of poop that is. There's a lot of it and it's big, so I really don't want to find out. Yeah, I definitely see an opening in a riverbed up there. Here we go. Let's go check this out. I can take this for a little while anyway. It's not that it's not a dangerous place, it's a very active place actually. Lots of soft sand here, so watch for tiger tracks. Just to get up into the shade. I'm gonna have to watch burning myself out too much in the sun, that's for sure. I was just taking my shirt off. It's getting way too hot. Stop, put the pack down. Just stop to look, and there's a massive tiger track right here. Look at the size of that. I mean, that's huge. It's definitely a tiger track. No question about it. It just shows you. Sand reveals what walks through here during the night, and hopefully not the day. Oh boy, nice elephant tracks. Hard to see them, but yeah. I never know in a situation like this whether it's a good thing that I'm walking in the wide open and right down the middle because it kind of makes all the animals move on, or if it's a bad thing because it points me out as a sitting duck.
Any predator in an opportunistic mood and looking for a meal will see a slow-moving human in the open as just that, an opportunity. But more than likely, acting as a big, noisy, and confident human scares everything away. More often, it's the little creatures that pose the biggest threat.
Don't think I'll get it on camera.
Saw a little viper, little tiny guy. Same color as a stick, but poisonous nonetheless.
Let's correct that right now. Yes, I should have said venomous. Sorry guys, it's force of habit. From force of habit from childhood, I think. It's poisonous, it's poisonous. It's not poisonous, it's venomous. And if you don't know the difference, I'll tell you now. Basically, poison is what you can ingest. You can ingest poison. But if a creature is going to bite you or sting you, then what it has that it's injecting you with is its venom. So a snake bite is venomous, not poisonous. I suppose if you, but by the way, there are also certain creatures that are venomous and poisonous, because if you eat them, you are ingesting poison. And they have a venomous bite.
There's the riverbed. Riverbed is the highway of the elephants. I just saw a little deer-like creature. I don't think it was a deer though. Just running in front of me there. Couple spotted deer. Still though, I wouldn't want to be back here in the dark or...
I can just tell from my posture that I'm constantly nervous and constantly on the lookout, because this is not the relaxed me.
In the dusk, early dawn, too much possibility of the wrong kind of encounter.
I'm always a bit nervous about breaking open old nests and stirring up a new hornet nest or a sleeping viper.
Shoot, I was hoping it was a fresh termite nest, but it's old. A lot of these are just too old. I'm trying to find one that's fresh so I can munch out on some termites. There's just nowhere near as many as I thought there was going to be. I know that if I do it like a monkey, take a stick, hook it all the way down, let them climb onto it. There we go. You just use a little twig like this.
True story, actually. Monkeys will do that. They literally use a stick like that as a tool, and they go in and they wait a while, wait long enough, you pull it out, half a dozen or more, maybe a dozen termites climbing on that stick, you slurp them off. Some of them can be pretty tasty.
That's huge. That's a huge tiger track. Why is he walking the way I want to go? Big part of how I need to be when I'm out here is walking with purpose, projecting a real confidence level.
By the way, if you're ever curious, well, how come some shots you have your pack on and some shots you don't have your pack on? Because sometimes I put it down to do the scene and sometimes I didn't.
In other words, not looking like prey. Holy
So that's classic Barry Farrell, making you go to, probably goes to a commercial there normally, if you were watching it in the old days on Discovery Channel, for him to cut it in something like, what's going on? Ah, commercial. Classic Barry Farrell to do that. The cliffhanger, of course. And I know why I'm running. So when I this has happened a few times in my life, when I come across a hornet's nest, I waste no time, and I will put that distance between me and them as quickly as I can, because the longer you stay there curious, the more you incite them, and the minute one of them is signaled to sting, they're all signaled to sting. This happened to me in Africa. It's happened to me, without filming many times, and my reaction is always the same, and always will be. And if you think that's not cool and you want to stick behind, well, you can get stung. I don't care.
So what happened? I went to go tell you about a plant that I saw and stepped on a bee's nest. Oh, now I got my nerves up. Holy mackerel. That was a wake-up call.
I figure I can outrun an elephant and maybe outstealth a tiger, but when it comes to hornets, wasps, and bees, there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide.
To this day, really, that's probably one of my greatest fears in doing survival stuff is, will I topple over some sort of hornet's nest? Because where am I going to go?
All right, I know this just sounds like... But I just heard a tiger. I heard... And it was absolutely a tiger, not a monkey, not a hog, not an elephant. That was a tiger. It's off in this distance here. That's not a tiger, that's monkeys. But they're up in the trees, and sometimes that means that's not a good sign, actually. That's actually a warning. There's a tree here that I can get on. Oh my goodness, it's surrounded by stinging nettle though. Wow, I can whack that stuff down with my walking stick. Huh, I think I see tiger scratchings on the tree. I bet you that's exactly what those are. I need to get higher up. Oh, damn.
So to be clear, I'm choosing as my place of safety a tree that the tigers actually consider one of their marking posts.
Stinging nettle. Oh, right on the other side of this tree. Oh, that's gonna burn for a while. Okay, first things first, calm down. Okay. Well,
You will never know how difficult it was to get me and my camera gear up that tree. I'm not sure if I show it, but I had a little rope on my camera to pull it up. I probably show it.
maybe tigers don't like stinging nettle. That would be a bonus. I didn't really want to come up here this early. I figured I'd stay down below, take that elephant dung and get a little fire going, use the fire as protection. But I heard a roar, I got warnings from monkeys, and I am surrounded by what I like to call tiger shade. All of this low green shrubbery that tigers can slink through. If something came after me in a mad scramble, I can go higher. Really tricky to get up there now, and I could not take the camera with me. I'd have to just drop the camera to the ground. I'm okay for tonight. If I have to, I'll just sit here all night. If I have to. That's pretty much what's going to happen. I'm quite certain of it.
With my adrenaline rushing in my voice, I've no choice but to wait out the night 12 feet off the ground in a tree. I didn't even have time to set up a second camera to point up at me.
If I gotta sit through the night, might as well sit in a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G. First comes tiger, then comes elephant, then comes Lester running very fast. I've got some rope on me. Time to make use of it. I'll tie it to the tiger stick. I'm just going to use a simple clove hitch. It always works when you've got to get something tied around a pole. It locks it in nice and tight. You do it right and it won't come out. Hopefully I did it right. Now I can lower it down and bring it back up if I need to.
I also tied the camera so I could lower it and raise it and keep my hands free.
Oh, well, that worked. Now that the camera's tied to my waist, I can let go. And I wasn't thinking about how to get set for the night when I decided to jump up on this tree. That's what's all around me here. Anyway, I'm doing that trick of mine where I just look around and kind of memorize everything. Because once it gets dark, you get creeped out, but it's like, you know what? It's exactly the same forest.
with the exception of the aforementioned potential visitors. Sometimes I wonder how I get myself into these situations. There. I don't know what that is. I just turn the gain up on the camera so you can still see me. But it's getting, the camera is now seeing something a lot brighter than I can. It's darker for me. There's a lot more sounds in this forest at night than there is during the day. During the day, it's just leaves falling off the trees. At night, it's all kinds of wonderful creatures. Good news is they let you know when something big's coming around. When I first got here, no question about it. Well, I heard the growl anyway. Within 15 minutes of the growl, must have moved around a bit. Nah, then the monkeys started up. Then deer started up. Then the deer stopped. And the monkeys stopped. And in the meantime, I was whacking away at the stinging nettle. It might be wishful thinking, but I would believe that probably the sound that I was making scared it away. If there was ever a time for me to make the statement, this is going to be a long night, it's now.
Physical survival means obtaining food, water, and shelter. Intellectually, survival means assessing and utilizing information. But in the emotional sense, survival means getting a grip on myself and allowing my intellect and physicality to win out the day. I have to shed fears both real and imagined so I can pass the responsibility of survival back to the mind and body. In life, it's best to let the heart rule. But in pure bush survival, sometimes you have to ask the fearful heart to acquiesce to the mind and body. But how do I do that with a 500-pound Royal Bengal tiger looking for a meal only yards away?
And that is where we left it. We ended it. And that apparently drove a lot of you guys nuts. Like, well, we want to know, like, what happened last Wednesday? Like what happened that night? Well, what happened was I was stuck up there for the night. And I kept hearing I heard growling all around me. I never did quite could see. I didn't have a flashlight, so I couldn't really see, but I could hear it around me, and pretty freaked out. And the next day, I just kind of, when the sun was first up, I slid it out of the tree, and made my way. But I didn't actually leave the next day. I actually went to, in the beginning of that episode, there was an ashram that we showed you. I actually went to the ashram and ended up spending the night there with the sadhu. He had me sleep up on the roof of the ashram, big spikes sticking out everywhere. And he warned me in broken English, stay sleeping in the middle. Don't go near the edge, because if you go near the edge, the elephants will reach up with their trunks, they will wrap around your leg and they'll pull you right off. They're aggressive elephants. So I went up there and he threw me a little blanket or something and I slept on the roof of the ashram. Nothing happened in terms of elephants, and the next day is when I walked out to meet the crew to leave, and I had like the worst case of lice. Like the blanket he'd given me was just filled with lice. Or some sort of, whatever, fleas maybe, I'm not sure. But either way, I had they were crawling all over me. It was bad. But that was a pretty amazing experience, that whole Indian episode of survival. And I just loved it. I loved the area. I loved the Himalayas. And I really want to get back to the Himalayan mountains, actually, to explore more of them. But there you go. There's the behind the scenes and some of the answers to some of the questions that have been out there. That was it probably was the most fearful I've ever been on a survival expedition based on the wildlife, based on the tigers. Even more than Africa would have been a close second. The Arctic with the polar bears a close third. But India was something else, man. Yeah, there you go. All right. I think the next one up that I'm going to do, actually, I think I will do the one where I took a fan. We had a contest. We call it the fan episode. Is where I took somebody out with me to survive, and that was for all you Bigfoot nuts. I've got some behind-the-scenes stories on that particular shoot that I'll regale you with, because they won't be part of the Bigfoot series. But some crazy stuff happened on that next one. So that's what's coming up next, the fan episode. Remember, guys, you got my 20th anniversary you can pick up with 76 films are in that package. Don't forget to watch Wild Harvest and have a listen out for my music coming at you. Go and catch me on Spotify. Just look up Les Stroud. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.